I know you watching this might be feeling incredibly stuck and like no matter what you do, you can't get ahead, even though you're working so hard to create a life you love. And if you're feeling this way, I want you to listen closely to the rest of this video because I want to show you how to take control of the direction of your life using a 3-step process I call the 3D flow. See, most people feel stuck and like they can't figure it out because they think there's either something wrong with them or they think everybody else has figured out this secret key ingredient that they don't know yet, but really it's neither of those. See, the truth is they're just not exercising their power to decide. The quality of our life comes down to the quality of our decisions. If we want a better life, we have to make better decisions. But the problem is most people aren't exercising their power to make those decisions. Most people are getting swept up into the life that's just happening for them rather than deciding to create their own path. And when we're flowing along with the current rather than forging our own path, we feel stuck, we feel trapped, we feel like there's nothing we can do to get to where we want to go. And when you have a framework to follow to make better quality decisions, the quality of your life improves as well. I grew up very indecisive. I was the youngest in a big family, and the decisions weren't often put on me to make. So I kind of just went with the flow. I went and did what everybody else decided. But now that I've kind of broken free and created my own path, and I look back on my past decisions that got me here, I realize that everything good I have in my life today came from following this framework even before I knew I was doing it. And if you have an idea of where you want to go, but you still wake up feeling lost, you want to take action, you feel motivated, but you don't even know where to start, you feel disorganized, scatterbrained, and stuck, then it's time to reclaim your power to decide on the direction of your life. And the 3D flow is a perfect way to do that. And the 3D flow is made up of 3 decisions. It's deciding on your outcomes, deciding on your strategies, and deciding on your actions. And when you make these 3 decisions in the sequence that I'm about to teach you, everything flows perfectly and it sets you up for success. So the first D in the 3D flow is deciding on your big outcome. If we don't make this decision first, then we'll feel lost the rest of the way. We have to have an idea of what we want so that we can move in that direction. The root word of decision means to cut off. If you go to a restaurant, there's probably a lot of things on the menu that you want, but when it comes down to it, if you want to get food into your belly, you have to decide on what you're gonna have. So this first D, deciding on an outcome, is deciding something and then living as if it's a reality right now. If I go to a restaurant and I decide to order a pasta, that is my new reality. I am going to live as if that pasta is mine now. I'm not going to order the pasta and then wonder if I'm actually going to get it or not. I ordered that pasta. I decided to have that pasta, so I'm going to live as if the server is going to bring it to me. I expect it to happen. That's a real decision. I cut off all other options on the menu. I decided to have that pasta. A real decision means that this is your new reality. You live as if that is a reality now until you make it an actuality. Last year, I ran the New York City Marathon, and before that, I decided that I was going to run the marathon. That was my outcome. I didn't decide to do it and then wonder if I was going to do it, maybe not. No, I decided, I committed, I paid what I needed to pay to do it. I started raising money. That was my new reality. That's the first step. Make a decision on the outcome that you want and then live as if that decision is real right now. When you make that first decision, D1, your outcome, you begin to have clarity and direction immediately. If I know the outcome I want, I know exactly at least the direction, the general direction to move towards. So once you've made that first decision in the 3D flow, the second decision is deciding on a strategy. If you don't decide on a strategy or a plan for how to achieve your outcome, then you're always going to feel disorganized and scattered all over the place. But if we decide on a plan, decide on a strategy to reach that outcome, then that allows us to start laying bricks in the direction of that outcome. For instance, going back to the marathon example, the first D was deciding on the outcome to run the marathon. The second D is deciding on a strategy, a plan to train for the marathon. If I didn't decide on a strategy or a plan to train, I would have just been running randomly, random miles, not really knowing if I was making progress. It would have felt overwhelming, and I would have felt very unprepared heading into that marathon if I didn't decide on a plan, a strategy. But because I had a plan and a strategy, that allowed me to see exactly what I needed to do in order to reach that outcome of running the marathon. So then we move on to D3, deciding on your actions. If you don't have D1 and D2, your decision on an outcome and your decision on a plan, a strategy to reach that outcome in place, then D3, your actions, they're going to feel all over the place. You're not even going to know where to begin. If you haven't decided on your outcome and your plan, then you won't know what to do to reach this vague idea of where you want to go. It will feel like you're living in reaction. It will feel like you're living in survival mode, just taking action depending on whatever you're feeling in the moment, rather than taking intentional action towards what will get you closer to the life you want to live. But when you have D1 and D2 in place, D3 almost becomes automatic. Again, going back to the marathon example, D1 is the big outcome of running the marathon. D2 is the plan, the strategy of what it takes to train for the marathon. D3 is the actions that I need to take on a daily basis, meaning the individual training sessions within the program. When I was training for the marathon, my strategy, my plan had me scheduled to do a big run every Saturday. So do you think every Saturday it got to that day and I was like, oh, should I go for a run? Should I not? Do I need a run? No, I followed the plan. I knew my outcome, I knew the plan, and then the Saturday run was an action that I just needed to plug in. I knew exactly what I needed to do because the decisions trickle down. If I know my outcome, I know the plan, then I know exactly what I need to do when it comes to that Saturday and it says I need to run on the calendar. See, when you follow the 3D flow framework and you make these decisions in that order, your actions become automatic. There was no guessing whether I needed to run or not. It was in the calendar. It was in the schedule. It was automatic because I made those other two decisions before getting to the daily actions. But if I'm only living on the daily actions, if I don't have a big outcome, if I don't have a marathon to go for, if I don't have a training program, and I'm only basing the daily actions on what I'm feeling in the moment, probably not going to go on that Saturday run. I'm probably not going to do a lot of the things that would get me closer to the life I want to live because I haven't made those decisions beforehand. This framework is set up perfectly to give you clarity of direction, to give you a strategy so that you know exactly what you need to do, and to make your actions automatic so that you can wake up and you can take action and hit the ground running. You can use this framework for the biggest decisions in your life or the smallest decisions. But when you start to implement it, you'll find clarity and direction become second nature, and you'll know exactly what you need to do to progress towards the vision, the dreams that you have in your life. You'll feel a stronger sense of purpose because every action will now have an intention behind it. But without exercising our power to decide, we'll feel lost, we'll feel stuck, and we'll make very little progress towards the life we want. Pick something small and start implementing this immediately because it does work on any scale. But if you start to work on the bigger scale stuff, maybe life goals and big dreams, that's when that first D, the deciding on the outcome, can be a little harder to make. Sometimes we don't know what we want and we don't really know how to get those big things we're after. If you feel that way and you start to implement this, but you want some more direction on how to make those bigger decisions, how to set big goals and go after them, I have a video, I'll link it here. You can check that out on how to set big goals and go after them and actually achieve them. But this framework has already made such a big difference in my life, and when I implement it, I feel like I'm on a mission. I feel I know exactly what I need to do, where I'm going, and what actions to take to get there. And when I don't, I start to feel a little lost. I feel a little directionless, and it always works to come back and rework this and ask myself, what is my outcome? What's my strategy? And what actions do I need to take because of that? These three decisions, this 3D flow, can change the direction of your life. Your decisions shape your life in every single moment, and it's time to take control of your power to decide.